Come on in, have a seat. So, here we are again. I'm tired of it, of this room of our weekly sessions, of this memory just running laps around my head. But lo and behold, here I am, sitting on this brown leather chair, staring at my therapist, who's probably as sick of hearing about this as I am of talking about it. But he insists that the only way for me to make progress is to open my damn mouth and lay it all out there. So, how are we doing today? I found it a little patronizing that he thought a cup of hot chocolate would take away the nightmares and the grief, the rage, and the longing, which was the worst of it all. I drank it anyway. I mean, it's not as if I could afford an actual cup of coffee in this bougie part of town. I looked out the window often just to avoid his eyes, which were always full of this understanding that no person on earth has the patience for while hearing someone talk about how they're a dumbass. Because it's easier to not be a prick when you're getting paid for it. Same damn view as always. You know, those dead trees really make me optimistic. After the first few appointments, he'd just stare at me until I said something. The ticking off the clock eventually made me blur out anything just to make it stop. Plus, the money I was forking over weekly kind of made my silence a pointless endeavor. I always gave it 23 ticks before I said anything. I got something out of the awkwardness of that heavy silence and that stupid smile on his face as he waited for me to say something, and he duped anything and everything just to avoid looking me in the eye. It comes and goes in waves, the memory of him. It's like he just got off the ledge and left me there. I just stood there, frozen in time, unable to see anyone but a fragile boy who needed my protection. That was also part of my performance. You see, every week, I started off with some pompous phrase that really brought the melodrama to the situation. It made it sound like I'd pondered on something great for my latest session, or had some divine revelation in the shower. Truth is, I spent my week doing my thing until I got hung up on him. Again. And turned whatever annoying ass thought I had into some pretentious phrase for our session. So, why do you think he got off the ledge and you didn't? Because I cared about him and he didn't care about me. Easy. Well, what makes you think he didn't care? Do you want the short answer, or shall I just bring you a list next time? He looked at me with those stupid, encouraging therapist eyes of his. I swear, the only thing that keeps me coming to the sessions is this stupid hot cocoa. Because he admitted it to my face that he only hung out with me because everyone else has said no. He only said this once, but I mean, yeah, I'm stupid, but I'm not a moron. I can read between the lines just fine. It's really hard to not assume that every single second this person spent with you was just because they couldn't find someone else, or because the people he actually wanted to spend time with were busy. Well, he must have said that out of rage. No, No, he said it in passing, with a bloody smile on his face, and just, you know, said he kept me around because he needed a scapegoat for all his negative feelings. Someone to blame every time something went wrong. And I was an obliging little goat ready to be just shoved off that cliff over and over and over again, just to see if it made him feel better, if it made him happy. But it never did, because I wasn't the person he wanted around. But how do you know this? Who did he want instead? I was really ticked off. We'd been having this conversation since October, and it was now December of the following year. He knew the narrative by heart, but he still asked those stupid questions in that soothing tone that did nothing but exasperate me. You know exactly who I'm talking about. He wanted the people who treated him the same way he treated me. The ones who treated him like an option and who never loved him back. You know, he always said those people made him feel worthless and unlovable. And you'd think that would give him a sliver, the tiniest sliver of compassion for me. But far from it. He took all this pent-up rage that he should have been just throwing at these people and pelted me with it. And I was happy with my bruises because I realized that no matter how hard I tried to make him happy, I was always going to be a waste of space to him. A placeholder until he could go back to what he wanted. Okay, but did you ever try to express these feelings to him? There's no talking with people like him. He will take whatever you're upset about and put the blame on you. And the worst part is that you'll let him keep on carving out these wounds in your body for the sake of this psychotic thing that you call love. And he'd always bring up stuff that bothered him, but never in the moment it did. He just built up this arsenal to make you feel like you were the crappy one in the situation, not him. And besides, he was convinced that I was obsessed with him, that every single decision that I made was because of him. And was it? I mean, at the start, maybe, but at some point I just got so caught up in the guilt that it was impossible to make a decision that wouldn't upset him. So I sacrificed what I wanted for a long ass time. And when I tried to do what I wanted, it upset him more, and then he just abandoned me. Again. I was called a bad friend again, crazy and obsessive again. I feel like an imbecile now because who does that? Who just takes that? Like, how sad of a person do you have to be to just let someone just throw all their shit at you? Just throw all of it. You just stay there, waiting in it, letting its smell stick to you, letting it just trail behind you wherever you go. What's keeping you there? The stupidity of my youth, perhaps my deranged understanding of love, my abandonment issues, my guilt, or maybe it's my inability to make a decision for my damn self because everyone has always told me what to do and I've always felt obliged to follow. There's this comfort that exists in not disappointing the person that you dote on. Perhaps it was that comfort of feeling like, I don't know, just letting someone treat you like shit because you think you're nothing. Wait. Do you think you're nothing? My voice came out small. I felt small. He made me feel small. I'm trying not to. I mean, I'm 23 years old, and the first time I understood what love actually was over the summer, and I felt unworthy of it because everyone before had made me feel like I was unworthy. You know, there's something about having people just look at you, and I mean really look, and finally see what you've been putting out there for the wrong people. To have them see things in you that you haven't even seen in yourself. It's hard to assimilate my worthiness of this when for so long I've carried the poison that I've been served by people who I thought knew me best. But they didn't. You know, it's kind of surprising how you can bare your soul to someone and one day you wake up and you realize that they know nothing. And then you have this person who's known you for like less than a month, who you have sporadic conversations with, and they get it. And you didn't have to spell it out for them. They just saw and they understood. And that felt good, right? I mean, being appreciated for doing something is one thing, but being appreciated for just existing? I didn't even know that was a thing. And he didn't give you that? Rarely. I mean, there were glimmers of it. Look, I can go back and forth between doting on him and loathing him. But I don't think he's a bad person. I don't know. Some people just don't know how to be friends to everyone. I mean, I'm sure he was great to the people he wanted around, but it wasn't all bad. I should have just walked away the first time he asked me to go. Perhaps I shouldn't have insisted. You stayed because you cared, and there's nothing wrong with that. No, but there is something wrong with giving people power over you. That much power. Because even when they're gone, they still got a hold on you. Months, years later. Let me tell you something. Moving on from what you went through isn't easy. And it's not meant to be, especially for a person who holds relationships so highly. I know you think you've made no progress because he still pops into your mind once in a while. But you haven't gone back, and that's huge. Listen, when people leave, it's because they've been emotionally checked out for a long time. That's exactly why it looks so easy and so sudden. He left because emotionally speaking, he'd walked away a long time ago. Whereas you were forced to physically walk away from somebody you were still emotionally attached to. But you're checking out, slowly but surely. You've done this before and it seemed impossible. But once you manage to do it, you'll realize it's not that hard. Yeah, it's emotionally draining. Okay, tell me, because I know you've made progress. What is one thing you've done for yourself since you decided not to go back to him? I made amends. With who? Someone I abandoned the second he beckoned me back into his life. Look, all three of us are royally fucked up, and at least the two of us were honest about it. He was always the victim, though. Well, he painted himself as the victim. Did you do it out of spite, then? No. I know you wouldn't believe me if I said it, but making amends was the first decision I made without him in mind. First time I wasn't thinking about his feelings. I wanted to do it for a really long time. I mean, the way I acted hadn't really been me, but I was so caught up in him. I wanted to do it for the longest time. Why didn't you do it before? Because whether he spoke to me or not, I was thinking about his feelings and my guilt. And I figured if I did it again, he'd never forgive me. He'd be upset and then he'd never come back. So what made you want to do it despite those fears? I realized I loved him, but I didn't want him back. I couldn't do it anymore. I realized that whatever I did, he was gonna be upset either way. I realized he rarely ever cared about how his behavior even affected me. He definitely didn't care the last time we spoke. So I just Had to stop centering my every move around a ghost of someone who wasn't there anymore. You sound defeated. It's because in all of this, I don't really think there's a way to win. Have you been writing as I suggested? Too damn much, actually, but it seems the only thing I can write about that's actually worth something is all about him. What's it revealed? That my muse is a Tempest. That sometimes I write of the good times and other times I write about the bad, but every time I see myself raging and angry and creating this tempest of my own because he still has the power. He still mutes me because what if he reads this? And then I begin with my plethora of excuses for making sure he's not seen as the villain. Do you believe he's a villain? I don't think there are heroes and villains. I think we're all a bit of both in everyone's story. I think we're all just people who sometimes do stupid things and hurt each other and self-sabotage. But I also know we're people who are in pain, who want to be seen and loved, and who sometimes need to make decisions that hurt other people, even the people that we love, because it's the best thing for ourselves. So where does that leave him in your story? Somewhere in the middle. Caused a lot of wreckage, but his passing opened up space for other things. Good things. And while I do think a lot of the good has been eclipsed by my heart, as I said, it wasn't all bad. But it wasn't all good. He made his choices and I made mine. And I did the best I could, and this time it just wasn't enough. So are you saying you're ready to let go? What I'm saying is, I'm still searching for the truth of the story. Untainted by love, or rage, or guilt. What do you think will happen to your writing when you find it? I'll finally be able to end my pieces with a full stop.